Admiral Taeho Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Harmony, watching the massive alien fleet appear on his screens. 200 ships had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Each ship was 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever built. The alien vessels looked like giant metal spears, painted in dark red and gold colors that meant death in most galactic cultures. "Sir, we're getting a message from the lead ship," reported Captain Hai-Jin Choi from her position at the communications console. Her voice stayed calm, but Taeho could see the worry in her eyes. 50 years of peaceful contact with alien races had not prepared them for this moment. "Put it on the main screen," Taeho ordered. The bridge fell silent as every crew member turned to watch. The screen flickered and showed the face of something that looked like a cross between a lizard and a shark. Its skin was dark green with silver markings. 2 yellow eyes stared at them with cold hatred. When it spoke, its voice was deep and threatening. "I am Admiral Vextar of the Dominion Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our great civilization. You will surrender your military forces immediately. You will disband all your fleets. You will accept our governance without question. You have 7 standard days to comply. If you refuse, we will take your world by force and destroy everything you have built." The alien's image disappeared, leaving the bridge in deadly quiet. Taeho looked around at his crew. These were good people who had spent their careers keeping peace between the stars. They had never faced anything like this. "Get me President Park immediately," Taeho said, "and send word to all fleet commanders. We need an emergency meeting." 2 hours later, Taeho sat in the secure meeting room deep beneath the Earth Defense Command building. President Minji Park sat at the head of the long metal table. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Around the table sat the most important military leaders on Earth. "The situation is simple," President Park said. "They want us to give up without a fight. Our intelligence says the Dominion has conquered 47 worlds in the last 10 years. Every single planet that surrendered is now a slave world. Every planet that fought back was completely destroyed." General Sung-Hwan Kang, the head of ground forces, spoke up. "Our regular fleet has 80 ships. They have 200. Our ships are smaller and carry fewer weapons. In a straight fight, we lose badly. What about our allies?" asked Admiral Taeho. "The other races are too scared to help," Captain Hai-Jin replied. "The Dominion has made examples of anyone who stands against them. 3 entire species have been wiped out for refusing to submit." Dr. Jin-Woo Lee, the chief scientist, cleared his throat. There might be another option. Everyone turned to look at the quiet man who rarely spoke in military meetings. "We've been working on something the Dominion doesn't know about." President Park nodded slowly. "Tell them about Project Nightfall." Dr. Lee activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed a ship unlike anything the others had seen. The vessel was completely black and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its shape was strange and angular, designed to confuse enemy sensors. "For the last 15 years, we've been building a second fleet," Dr. Lee explained. "Not the ships everyone knows about, but something else entirely. We call it the Black Fleet. These ships use technology that makes them invisible to most sensors. They can appear and disappear like ghosts." "How many ships?" Taeho asked. 300, Dr. Lee said quietly. "All built in secret facilities throughout the solar system. Hidden bases that no alien government knows about." The room erupted in surprised voices. General Kang stood up. 300 ships? How is that possible? Where did we get the resources?" President Park raised her hand for silence. "We've been preparing for this day since we first made contact with other species. We learned quickly that the galaxy is not a peaceful place. Every year we spent money on ships and weapons that officially didn't exist. Every year we trained crews for a fleet that wasn't supposed to be real." She activated another display. This one showed Admiral Jae Sung-yoon, a man who had supposedly died in a training accident 3 years ago. "Admiral Yoon has been commanding the Black Fleet from hidden bases. His job was to prepare for exactly this situation. But why keep it secret from us?" Captain Hyejin asked. "Because if we had known, we might have acted differently," President Park replied. "The aliens needed to see us as weak and peaceful. They needed to think we were an easy target. Meanwhile, we prepared for war." Dr. Lee brought up another display showing strange weapons and equipment. "The Black Fleet doesn't fight fair. These ships are designed for one purpose: to completely destroy any enemy that threatens Earth. They use weapons that target alien biology specifically. They carry bombs that can crack planets. They have systems that can turn enemy ships' computers against them. This is madness, General Kang said. You're talking about genocide. No, President Park said firmly. We're talking about survival. The Dominion has killed billions of innocent people. They came here expecting us to surrender like frightened children. Instead, they're going to learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home. Admiral Tae-ho studied the information on the screens. What's the plan? Simple, President Park replied. Our regular fleet will engage the Dominion forces and pretend to lose. While they're focused on destroying our only military, the Black Fleet will destroy them completely. No survivors, no mercy. No second chances, and after we win? Captain Hyojin asked. We make sure this never happens again, President Park said. The galaxy will learn that Earth is not a world to be conquered. We are a world that conquers others when pushed too far. The meeting continued for 6 more hours. Plans were made. Orders were given. Messages were sent to secret bases throughout the solar system. The Black Fleet began to move from hiding places where they had waited for years. On the 7th day, President Park stood before the cameras to give humanity's answer to the Dominion ultimatum. She wore a simple black suit and stood behind a podium with Earth's flag. Her voice was calm but carried steel underneath. To Admiral Vextar and the Dominion Empire, she began. You came to our home and demanded we kneel. You threatened to destroy everything we have built if we did not submit to your rule. You expected us to surrender like the other worlds you have conquered. She paused and looked directly into the camera. We have considered your offer carefully. Our answer is simple, come and take it. The transmission ended. Throughout the solar system, the Black Fleet finished its preparations. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching as Dominion ships moved toward Earth. Soon, the aliens would learn the difference between seeming weak and being weak. The war for Earth's freedom was about to begin. But the Dominion Empire had no idea they were not fighting a small, peaceful world. They were fighting humanity. And humanity had been preparing for this fight for 15 years. The hunt was about to start. The Dominion fleet moved toward Earth like a pack of hungry wolves. Admiral Vextar sat in his command chair, watching the small human fleet ahead of them on his screens. 80 tiny ships against his mighty armada. This would be over quickly. Human fleet is moving to engage us, reported his tactical officer. They're forming a battle line. Vexatar laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Brave little creatures. They actually think they can fight us. Begin the attack. Destroy half their ships, then demand surrender again. I want them to watch their friends die before they submit. The space battle began exactly as everyone expected. The human ships were fast but small. They fired their weapons bravely, but their energy beams barely scratched the thick armor of the Dominion warships. Within an hour, 20 human vessels had been destroyed. Admiral Tae-ho Kim stood on his bridge as explosions lit up the darkness around him. His ship shook as alien weapons hit their shields. Fall back to the second line, he ordered. Make it look like we're scared. The human fleet retreated toward Mars, fighting as they went. More ships exploded. The crew on every human vessel played their parts perfectly, acting like they were losing a battle they couldn't win. But deep in space, invisible eyes watched everything. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon floated in the command center of his stealth ship Shadow Walker. The entire vessel was painted in a special black material that absorbed light and energy. No alien sensor could detect it. Around him, 300 similar ships hung in space like deadly ghosts. The regular fleet is doing well, reported Lieutenant Commander So Young-han from her position. The aliens think they're winning. Good, Jae-sung replied. Begin Phase 2. Target their supply ships first. Make them disappear quietly. So Young nodded and sent silent signals to the Black Fleet. 30 stealth ships moved toward the back of the Dominion formation, where fuel tankers and ammunition ships waited safely behind the fighting. The first supply ship simply vanished. One moment it was there on the alien sensors. The next moment there was empty space. No explosion. No distress signal, nothing. What happened to Transport 7? Asked Vextar's communications officer. Unknown, sir. They just stopped responding. Before anyone could investigate, 2 more ships disappeared. Then 5 more. The supply vessels were vanishing one by one, eaten by the darkness of space. This is impossible, Vextar snarled. Ships don't just disappear. Find out what's happening. But there was nothing to find. The Black Fleet ships used weapons that left no evidence. energy beams that completely destroyed their targets without creating debris. The supply vessels were there one moment and gone the next, as if they had never existed. Engineer Kyungmin Bae worked at his console aboard the stealth destroyer Night Hunter. His fingers moved over controls that activated weapons no alien race had ever seen. Target locked, firing dark matter torpedo. The weapon hit a Dominion cruiser and simply erased it from existence. No explosion. No flash of light. The ship was there, then it wasn't. The crew of nearby vessels stared in horror at the empty space where their companion had been. "Report!" Vextar screamed at his officers. "What destroyed that ship?" We don't know, Admiral. Sensors show nothing. There's no enemy vessels in that area." Major Dong-hyun Park commanded a special operations unit aboard the stealth ship Death Whisper. His job was psychological warfare, making the enemy afraid. He activated the ship's communication system and began broadcasting on all Dominion frequencies. His voice was electronically altered to sound like something from a nightmare. "You came to destroy Earth, now Earth comes to destroy you. We are in the dark between your ships. We are watching you. We are coming for you. There is nowhere to run." The message played on every Dominion ship at once. Alien crew members looked around nervously, checking their sensors over and over. But the sensors showed nothing. Space appeared empty. Another supply ship vanished. Then an escort vessel. The Dominion formation began to spread out as captains tried to protect themselves from an enemy they couldn't see. "This is some kind of human trick," Vextar declared. "They're using cloaked ships. Increase sensor power. Find them." But the Black Fleet ships weren't just cloaked. They existed in a state of semi-phased reality, using technology that bent space around them. They were there but not there, real but invisible, deadly but undetectable. Lieutenant Commander So Young-han piloted her ship Void Strike directly through the middle of the Dominion fleet. Her vessel passed within a few meters of alien warships, but their sensors registered nothing. She selected a target, a heavy battlecruiser, and fired her plasma cannons. The alien ship's shields flared and died. Its hull cracked open like an egg. Atmosphere rushed out into space as the crew inside died instantly. But to other Dominion vessels, it looked like their companion had simply exploded for no reason. "Admiral," called his tactical officer, voice shaking with fear. "We've lost 60 ships. We can't see what's attacking us. Our weapons can't target something that doesn't appear on sensors." Vexitar's yellow eyes narrowed. This was supposed to be easy. Humans were weak, peaceful creatures. They had no advanced military technology, yet somehow his mighty fleet was being destroyed by invisible enemies. "Send a message to the human fleet," he ordered. "Offer them terms. We'll spare their world if they surrender now." The message went out, but the human response came from Admiral Tae-ho Kim, still fighting his retreating battle near Mars. "We already gave you our answer. Come and take it." As if summoned by those words, the Black Fleet revealed itself for just a moment. 300 ships appeared on Dominion sensors for exactly 5 seconds. Long enough to fire a massive coordinated attack, then vanish again into darkness. 50 Dominion vessels exploded at once. The alien formation broke apart as captains tried to escape the invisible death that surrounded them. But there was nowhere to run. The Black Fleet ships were faster, deadlier, and completely invisible. "They're everywhere," whispered the communications officer on Vextar's flagship. "The sensors are showing ghost contacts all around us." Major Dong-hyun Park's voice echoed through space again, broadcasting on all frequencies. "You wanted to conquer Earth. Now you know what Earth does to conquerors. We are the darkness between stars. We are the death you cannot see coming. Welcome to humanity's real war." Engineer Kyungmin Bae launched another dark matter torpedo. This one hit Vextar's second-largest battleship. The massive vessel simply ceased to exist, leaving only empty space and confused alien voices asking what had happened. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon watched the battle from his command center. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. 3 years of training crews in weapons and tactics that no honorable military would use. The Dominion had come expecting to fight humans. Instead, they were fighting humanity's nightmares. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Commander So Young-han, "enemy formation is collapsing. They're trying to retreat." "Let some of them run," Jae-sung ordered. "But not many. We want survivors to carry the message back to their empire. Let them tell their leaders what happens when you threaten Earth." The Dominion fleet began to flee, but the Black Fleet followed like hunting wolves. Invisible ships destroyed the slower vessels one by one. Admiral Vextar's own flagship shuddered as weapons hit it from directions that contained nothing but empty space. "This is impossible," he screamed. "Humans are primitive. They have no advanced technology." But the evidence floated around him in the form of destroyed ships and dead crew members. Humanity had revealed its true nature, not the peaceful traitors the galaxy knew, but something far more dangerous, something that fought from shadows and killed without being seen. The battle that was supposed to last days ended in hours. The mighty Dominion fleet was reduced to scattered survivors running for their lives, chased by enemies they couldn't see or fight. In the darkness of space, the Black Fleet prepared for the next phase of the war. The aliens had learned that Earth would not surrender. Now they would learn what humanity did to those who refused to leave them in peace. The hunt had only just begun. Admiral Vextar's flagship limped through space, its hull cracked in bleeding atmosphere. Around him, the remains of his once mighty fleet struggled to escape the invisible death that followed them. They had lost over half their ships to an enemy they couldn't see or understand. "Admiral," his communications officer reported with a shaking voice. "We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through," Vextar snarled. Maybe the humans were ready to negotiate now that they had shown their trick weapons. The screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Tae-ho Kim standing on his bridge. Behind him, the human regular fleet hung in space, no longer retreating. But something had changed. The human ships now displayed new markings, black symbols that looked like hunting predators. "Admiral Vextar," Tae-ho said calmly, "you came to our system expecting us to surrender. You brought weapons to destroy our cities and enslave our people. You made one mistake." "What mistake?" Vextar demanded. "You thought we were prey. We're not. We're predators, and now you're about to learn what that means." The transmission ended. Around the fleeing Dominion ships, space itself seemed to come alive with death. Dr. Yeonsu Kim worked in her laboratory aboard the human medical ship, Mercy's Edge. For 20 years, she had studied alien biology under the pretense of medical research, but her real work was much darker. She had learned the weakness of every species in the Dominion Empire. "Deploy the biological weapons," she ordered her assistants. "Target the Altarian ships with Agent Blue. Use Agent Red on the Draconians. Agent Yellow for the insects." Her weapons were not bombs or energy beams. They were specially designed viruses and bacteria that attacked specific alien biologies. Each agent was harmless to humans but deadly to different enemy species. Within minutes, entire Dominion ships fell silent as their crews died from diseases their bodies couldn't fight. Captain Inho Seo commanded the experimental dreadnought Soul's Wrath, a massive vessel that had been built in complete secrecy. The ship was 5 times larger than any known human vessel, armed with weapons that could crack planets apart. "Target the Dominion staging area on Asteroid Belt Station 7, Inho ordered. "Fire the quantum disruptor." The weapon reached across millions of kilometers and touched the enemy base. The asteroid simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not vaporized. It ceased to be, along with the 10,000 Dominion troops stationed there. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "Disruptor is charged for another shot. Target their fuel depot at Jupiter's third moon. Show them what happens when you threaten our home system." Specialist Mirano sat in a darkened room filled with computer screens, her fingers dancing across keyboards at superhuman speed. She was humanity's master of electronic warfare, and she had been inside Dominion computer systems for months. Activating Virus Package Omega, she announced to her team, taking control of enemy life support systems. Throughout the Dominion fleet, ships began turning on their own crews. Doors locked, trapping aliens in corridors. Oxygen systems shut down. Gravity generators reversed, crushing crew members against ceilings. Computer voices spoke in perfect Dominion languages, telling the crews that their own ships were killing them on humanity's orders. General Seung-Hwan Kang watched from his command center as his doctrine of scorched space was put into action. This was humanity's answer to any enemy that threatened Earth: complete and total destruction, with no possibility of survival or escape. "All stealth units, implement Protocol 7, he ordered. "No prisoners, no survivors, no mercy." The Black Fleet moved through the scattered Dominion forces like death itself. Ships that tried to surrender were destroyed without response. Escape pods were hunted down and eliminated. Lifeboats were vaporized before they could reach safety. Humanity had decided that the Dominion Empire was a cancer that needed to be completely removed. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon coordinated the slaughter from his flagship. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment, the complete extinction of an enemy force that had thought humans were easy prey. "Status report," he requested. Lieutenant Commander So-young. Han checked her displays. "Biological agents have eliminated 60% of surviving enemy crew members. Electronic warfare has taken control of 30 enemy ships. Quantum weapons have destroyed all enemy staging areas in the outer system. And the survivors? Being hunted down systematically. Estimated time to complete elimination 4 hours, Jae-sung nodded. This was not warfare as the galaxy understood it. This was extermination. The Dominion had come expecting to fight soldiers and instead found themselves facing something that fought like a force of nature. Merciless, unstoppable, and absolutely committed to their complete destruction. Dr. Jin Woo Lee monitored the battle from his research station. For 15 years he had prepared for this day, designing weapons that would ensure no enemy of Earth could ever escape to threaten humanity again. "Deploy the nanoswarm," he ordered. "Target all remaining Dominion vessels." Clouds of microscopic robots spread through space, seeking out enemy ships. When they found their targets, the tiny machines began eating through hulls and destroying everything inside. The Dominion crews watched in horror as their own ships were consumed from within by enemies too small to see. Captain Hai-Jin Choi intercepted communications from the dying Dominion fleet. The aliens were screaming in terror, begging for mercy, trying to surrender. But humanity's answer was always the same: silence followed by death. "They're asking why we won't accept their surrender," she reported to Admiral Taeho. "Tell them," Taeho replied coldly. "They came here to destroy our world. They plan to kill our families and enslave our children. They don't get to surrender now that they're losing." Admiral Vextar's flagship was one of the last ships still fighting. Around him, his bridge crew lay dead from biological weapons they couldn't identify. His ship's computer had been taken over by human viruses and was slowly killing everyone aboard. "This is impossible," he gasped through the toxic atmosphere that had replaced his ship's air. "No species fights like this. No civilized race uses weapons like these." His communication system crackled to life one final time. The voice that spoke was electronically modified to sound like humanity's collective judgment. "You came to make us kneel. You brought weapons to destroy our world. You threatened our children. Did you think we would fight fair? Did you think we would show mercy? We are not a civilized race when our home is threatened. We are death itself." The transmission ended. Vexitar's ship exploded as quantum charges planted by invisible enemies finally detonated. Commander Woojin Park led the final cleanup operation, hunting down the last few escape pods and damaged vessels trying to flee the system. His stealth ships moved through the debris field like sharks, ensuring that nothing survived. "Sir," reported one of his officers, "we have visual confirmation of the last enemy vessel. It's heavily damaged and trying to reach hyperspace." "Destroy it," Woojin ordered without hesitation. "Sir, they're broadcasting surrender signals. They're asking for mercy." Woojin's voice was as cold as space itself. The time for mercy was before they threatened Earth. "Fire all weapons." The last Dominion ship vanished in a flash of light. The solar system fell silent except for the gentle hum of human vessels returning to their bases. Admiral Taeho Kim stood on his bridge, looking out at the debris field that had once been a mighty alien fleet. 200 ships and 50,000 alien soldiers had come to conquer Earth. Now there was nothing left but space dust and the smell of victory. "Send a message to Earth Command," he ordered. "The Dominion invasion fleet has been eliminated. Total enemy casualties 100%. Human casualties acceptable." President Min-ji Park received the message in her underground command center. Around her, military leaders watched displays showing the complete destruction of the enemy force. "What now?" asked General Kang. "Now we make sure this never happens again," she replied. "The galaxy needs to learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home. The Black Fleet will carry that message to every world in Dominion space." Dr. Yeonsoo Kim was already preparing for the next phase of the war. Her biological weapons had been tested in combat and proven effective. Now it was time to take the fight to the enemy's home worlds. The Dominion Empire had sent their best fleet to conquer Earth. Instead, they had awakened something that would not stop until every threat to humanity was eliminated. The war was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. Earth had knelt to no one. Now it was time for the galaxy to kneel to Earth. The Dominion capital world of Tyrannos Prime burned beneath a red sky, not from human weapons but from the fires of revolution. With their government dead and their military destroyed, the member species of the Empire had risen up against their former masters. Fleet Admiral Sang-Ho Yoon watched the chaos from the bridge of his flagship New Seoul, one of 50 human vessels now orbiting the former imperial capital. He had arrived not as a conqueror, but as the galaxy's new reality, humanity's military power ensuring that old empires could never rise again. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving surrender requests from 14 different species governments. They all want to negotiate separate peace treaties with Earth." "Tell them the terms are simple," Sang-Ho replied. "Complete disarmament of all military forces above defensive levels, open borders for human inspection teams, and most importantly, they never again threaten any independent world." Director Haiwan Jung stood in what had been the Dominion's Grand Council chamber, now serving as humanity's temporary diplomatic center. Around her, representatives from dozens of alien species waited nervously to learn their fate under Earth's protection. "The old order is dead," she announced to the assembled aliens. "The Dominion Empire conquered and enslaved your worlds for centuries. That time is over. You are now free to govern yourselves as you choose. But freedom comes with responsibility." A tall insectoid delegate raised one of its many arms. "What responsibility do you speak of, human?" "The responsibility to never again allow any power to threaten innocent worlds," Haiwan replied firmly. "Earth will maintain permanent naval stations throughout this region. Any species that attempts to build conquest fleets or develops weapons of mass destruction will be dealt with immediately and permanently." The aliens understood. They had seen the recordings of what happened to the Dominion military. They knew what humanity did to enemies. None of them wanted to become the next example. General Eugene Kim commanded the occupation forces on 17 former Dominion worlds. His job was not to rule these planets, but to ensure their transition to independent government went smoothly. More importantly, he was there to make sure every alien citizen understood the new reality. "The humans saved us from the Dominion," reported a draconian civilian to his family after attending one of Eugene's information sessions. "But they also showed us what they do to oppressors. We must never forget this lesson." Dr. Tae-Young Lee worked in her new laboratory on Kepler Station, studying the political and military structures that had allowed the Dominion to exist. Her job was to identify potential future threats before they could develop into dangers to galactic peace. "The pattern is clear," she told her research team. "Aggressive militaristic species always follow the same path. They build weapons, conquer neighbors, then spread across multiple systems. We need to identify these species before they become problems." "And then what?" asked her assistant. "Then we visit them and explain the new rules. Most will listen. Those that don't..." She gestured toward a wall display showing the empty space where the Dominion fleet had once existed. Back on Earth, President Min-ji Park addressed the planet's citizens from the same podium where she had defied the Dominion ultimatum 2 years earlier. Behind her stood the flags of 47 worlds that had been liberated from imperial rule. "My fellow humans," she began, "we did not ask for this war. We did not seek to become the galaxy's protectors. But when evil came to our door demanding we surrender our freedom, we chose to fight. Now the galaxy is free from the Dominion's tyranny." She paused, looking directly into the cameras that would carry her words across human space and beyond. "But freedom requires vigilance. The Black Fleet continues to patrol the galaxy, ensuring that no new empire can rise to threaten peaceful worlds. We have learned that sometimes to preserve peace, we must be prepared for war." Admiral Jae Sung-yoon commanded the Black Fleet from his new base on the edge of former Dominion space. His 300 invisible ships now served as humanity's watchful eyes across dozens of star systems. "Status report on the Centauri Confederacy?" he asked during his weekly briefing. Commander Woo-jin Park consulted his intelligence files. "They're building a military fleet beyond defensive needs. 12 new battleships in the last 6 months. Our agents report they're discussing reclaiming their ancient territories." "Send them a message," Jae-sung ordered. "A friendly diplomatic note explaining that we've noticed their military buildup. Include recordings of what happened to the last government that thought military expansion was a good idea. And if they don't listen, then we'll demonstrate why the galaxy calls us the Black Fleet. The message was delivered by Captain Yoonji Lee's information warfare specialists. The Centauri government received detailed recordings of Dominion ships being deleted from existence, biological weapons targeting specific alien species, and computer viruses that turned vessels against their own crews. Within a week, the Centauri military construction program was quietly canceled. Their ambassador to Earth sent a formal message thanking humanity for the educational materials and confirming their commitment to peaceful development. Similar messages were delivered to 6 other species that had shown concerning military developments. All of them chose to scale back their weapons programs rather than face humanity's definition of peaceful negotiation. 5 years after the Dominion War, the galaxy had settled into its new pattern. Independent worlds governed themselves freely, protected by human naval stations and the ever-present threat of the Black Fleet. Trade flourished between species that had once been enemies. Scientific cooperation advanced at unprecedented rates, but everyone remembered the lesson of the Dominion Empire. Everyone knew what happened to species that threatened others. In classrooms across a dozen worlds, alien children learned the same simple truth. The humans who smile and trade with you are the same humans who can make entire fleets disappear. Fleet Admiral Sang-ho Yoon received a report from his intelligence division about a disturbing development in the outer galaxy. A new alliance calling itself the Iron Fist Coalition was forming among species that had never encountered humanity. They're too far away to have seen our operations against the Dominion, reported his intelligence chief. They don't know what we're capable of. Then they're about to learn, Sang-ho replied. Prepare a Black Fleet task force. It's time for another educational demonstration. Dr. Yan-Soo Kim had spent the years since the war developing even more effective weapons for humanity's arsenal. Her biological agents now targeted broader categories of alien physiology. Her computer viruses could take control of systems designed by species humanity had never met. The Iron Fist Coalition uses silicon-based computer systems, she reported to the Weapons Development Committee. I've created programs specifically designed to corrupt their technology. When they see their own ships turning against them, they'll understand the futility of aggression. President Min-ji Park stood once again before the cameras, this time to address not just Earth but the entire galaxy. Representatives from dozens of worlds watched as humanity's leader delivered the message that would define interstellar relations for generations to come. To all species throughout the galaxy, both known and unknown to us, Earth desires peace. We want to trade with you, learn from you, and share the wonders of space exploration. But we will never again allow any power to threaten our world or our friends. She gestured to a display, showing the locations of human naval bases throughout explored space. We have placed guardians among the stars. They watch and wait, invisible but always present. To those who choose peace, they are protectors. To those who choose aggression, they are death itself. The message was broadcast on all known communication frequencies and sent via faster-than-light transmission to every explored system. Within months, it had reached civilizations that had never heard of humanity. Some laughed at the arrogance of a single species claiming to police the galaxy. Others remembered the stories they had heard about the Dominion Empire's sudden collapse. The wisest among them chose to send peaceful diplomatic missions to Earth. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon smiled as he read the latest intelligence reports. 3 different species had canceled military expansion programs after receiving educational materials about human capabilities. 2 others had requested formal alliance treaties with Earth. The galaxy is learning, he told his staff. Slowly, but they're learning. Lieutenant Commander So Young-han, now captain of her own stealth destroyer, patrolled the edge of explored space. Her mission was to make contact with new species and explain the new galactic order. Unknown vessel, she broadcast to an alien ship her sensors had detected. This is Captain So Young-han of the Earth Defense Forces. We come in peace, but we are prepared for any eventuality. Please identify yourselves and your intentions. The alien response came in a language her computers had never heard before, but the translation was clear. We greet you, people of Earth. We have heard the stories of your power. We wish only peaceful contact and trade. Another species had learned the lesson. Another potential threat had chosen wisdom over war. 10 years after the Dominion's ultimatum, the galaxy lived under what historians would call the Terran Peace. The single Dominion scout ship Vengeance's Edge raced through hyperspace, carrying the most terrifying cargo in galactic history, complete recordings of humanity's military capabilities. Captain Zexlar, one of only 12 survivors from Admiral Vextar's fleet, clutched the data crystals that contained video evidence of Earth's real power. Behind him in normal space, Commodore Hyunwoo Nam watched the escape ship disappear into the faster-than-light tunnel. His stealth destroyer Shadowhunt could have easily destroyed the fleeing vessel, but orders were orders. One ship was meant to survive. Let it run, Hyunwoo said to his crew. Make sure they get home safely. I want the Dominion leadership to see exactly what happened here. Captain Yoonji Lee worked at her station, ensuring the escaping ship carried everything humanity wanted the galaxy to know. The recordings showed human weapons that deleted ships from existence. They showed biological agents that killed by species. They showed computer viruses that turned alien vessels against their own crews. Data transfer complete, she reported. They now have full documentation of Protocols 7 through 15. When they show this to their leaders, the entire Dominion government will know what Earth is capable of. The message was simple and clear. This is what happens when you threaten humanity. This is what we do to our enemies. This is why you should be afraid. 3 days later, the Black Fleet began its real work. Admiral Ji-hoon Kim had spent months planning humanity's response to any alien aggression. Now those plans moved into action across dozens of star systems. Phase 3 is authorized, he announced from his command ship. Begin deep penetration operations. Target all Dominion military installations within 50 light-years of Earth. Commander Woo-jin Park led a squadron of stealth ships toward the Altair system, where the Dominion maintained a major naval base. His ships had been traveling for weeks through hyperspace, invisible to all detection methods. Remember, he told his captains over secure communications, we're not here to conquer territory. We're here to send a message. No Dominion military installation can protect itself from us. Nowhere is safe. The Altair base was a massive space station orbiting the system's 4th planet. It housed 50,000 alien military personnel and served as the regional headquarters for Dominion operations. The base commander felt completely secure, protected by energy shields and defended by a fleet of warships. That security was an illusion. Wu Jin's ships approached the base using a route that should have been impossible. They traveled through the system's asteroid field, using gravitational shadows to mask their approach. When they reached attack position, they were less than 1,000 kilometers from their target. All ships fire on my command, Wu Jin ordered. Target power generation, life support, and command centers. Leave the communication array intact. We want survivors to report what happened. The attack lasted exactly 17 minutes. Quantum torpedoes deleted entire sections of the space station. Biological weapons killed specific alien species while leaving others alive to witness the destruction. Computer viruses took control of the base's defensive systems and turned them against the defenders. When the Black Fleet ships vanished back into hyperspace, they left behind a crippled station and 20,000 dead aliens. The survivors sent desperate messages to Dominion High Command, describing an attack by invisible enemies using impossible weapons. Similar attacks hit Dominion bases throughout the region. The Draco's shipyards were completely destroyed by weapons that unmade matter itself. The insectoid breeding colonies were sterilized by engineered viruses. The Reptilian Command Center on Kepler 7 was taken over by computer programs that spoke perfect Dominion languages, while they killed everyone inside. Captain Yoon-ji Lee coordinated the information warfare campaign from her ship, Information's Edge. Her job was to ensure that every attack was recorded and transmitted throughout Dominion. Space. Broadcast the Altair recordings on all frequencies, she ordered. Make sure every Dominion world sees what happened to their impregnable fortress. The recording spread through alien communication networks like a plague. Dominion citizens watched in horror as human weapons destroyed their strongest defenses. Military leaders studied the footage, trying to understand how humanity had developed such terrifying capabilities. But the real message was simpler than advanced technology. It was psychological. Humanity was saying, we can reach you anywhere. We can kill you anytime. Nowhere in the galaxy is safe from us if you threaten our world. Admiral Jae Sung-yoon received reports from Black Fleet operations across dozens of systems. Every mission had been a complete success. Dominion military power was being systematically dismantled by forces they couldn't see or fight. Status of Sleeper Agent Network? He asked Commander Woo Jin during their weekly briefing. All assets are in position and activated, Wu Jin replied. We have agents in place on every major Dominion world. They've been there for years waiting for this moment. The sleeper agents were humans who had infiltrated alien society over the past decade. They appeared to be merchants, diplomats, and researchers. In reality, they were special operations soldiers trained in deep cover techniques. On the Dominion capital world of Tyrannos Prime, a human diplomat named Kite opened a concealed weapons cache in his embassy basement. He had been playing the role of a peaceful trade representative for 3 years. Now it was time for his real mission. The embassy's communication array began broadcasting a signal that activated hidden devices throughout the city. Nanomachines that had been slowly introduced into the water supply over months suddenly began their deadly work. Within hours, every member of the Dominion High Council was dead from viruses specifically designed to target their species. Similar operations activated on dozens of worlds. Dominion leaders, military commanders, and government officials died mysteriously from diseases that affected only them. Their alien doctors couldn't understand why their patients were dying. The viruses were too advanced, too specifically targeted to be natural. The message spread through surviving Dominion leadership. Humanity had been among them for years. Their most secure worlds were already compromised. Their leaders were dying from weapons they couldn't detect or fight. Back in the Sol system, President Minji Park met with her military advisors to review the campaign's progress. The war room screens showed the systematic collapse of Dominion power across multiple sectors. Casualty reports? She asked. General Xionghuan Kang consulted his datapad. Dominion military losses exceed 2 million personnel. Civilian casualties are minimal. We're only targeting military and government installations. Our own losses remain at 0. Good, we're not monsters. We're just making sure they understand the cost of threatening Earth. Dr. Tae-Young Lee, the xenological warfare specialist, activated a holographic display showing Dominion space. Red markers indicated systems where their operations had struck. The pattern was clear. Humanity was systematically dismantling an empire that had existed for centuries. Intelligence suggests the Dominion government is preparing to sue for peace, she reported. Their remaining military commanders are refusing to engage human forces. Several member species are asking to withdraw from the empire entirely. Let them withdraw, President Park said. We're not trying to conquer the Dominion. We're teaching them a lesson about threatening worlds they don't understand. The lesson was working. Throughout Dominion space, alien governments were receiving the same message from their military advisors. Do not engage the humans. They fight with weapons we cannot understand. They kill with methods we cannot counter. They reach places we thought were impossible to attack. Commodore Hyunwoo Nam led the final phase of the deep space operations, hunting down the last Dominion fleets that still posed a potential threat to Earth. His ships moved through hyperspace like hunting wolves, tracking enemy vessels to their hiding places. Target located, reported his tactical officer. Dominion 4th Fleet hiding in the nebula around Wolf 359. How many ships? 47 vessels, sir. They appear to be waiting for orders. They won't get a chance to receive any. All ships prepare for Ghost Protocol. Make them vanish. The attack was swift and merciless. The Dominion ships never saw their attackers coming. They simply began exploding one by one, destroyed by weapons fired from empty space. Within an hour, another enemy fleet had been eliminated. Captain Yoonji Lee made sure the recordings of the battle reached Dominion High Command within days. The message was always the same. This is what happens to those who threaten Earth. This is what we do to our enemies. This is why you should fear us. 6 months after the first Dominion ship had appeared at the edge of the Sol system, their entire military structure was in collapse. The mighty empire that had conquered 47 worlds was being systematically destroyed by a single planet they had thought was weak and defenseless. The galaxy was learning a new truth. Humanity didn't start wars, but they finished them. And when they finished a war, they made sure their enemies could never threaten anyone again. The Dominion's time was ending. But Earth's message to the galaxy was just beginning.